Hi, everyone. I'm Jack Johnson,
And I'm Jill Johnson.
and we are here today with Melanie Richards, the founder and CEO of GoGlow. Melanie, great to have you today. How are you?
I am doing really well. I am very excited to be here with you guys. Thank you so much for having me.
Melanie, there's so much that we want to talk. We've been talking about this, having you on the podcast for the last few weeks. I just think it is so cool the momentum that your franchise is gaining, and it's so interesting. I think there's so much people don't understand about tanning and the importance, even in sort of warmer climates. There's so much I want to talk about. I just don't know where to
We've a lot
begin.
to cover.
But Melanie, let's begin with you. How did this all start? Who are you? Maybe tell us a little bit about your story and we'll take it from there.
Yeah, my background is, I would say it's a different course that most people will take. I was raised by a single mother, and she had both my sister and I out of high school. So we kind of joke that we all grew up together. She didn't skip a beat. She went right to the college for her 4-year degree. And my sister, my mom, and I were, used the programs of welfare and food stamps and everything, but just to get going. But what's really important, and I think what's really instilled a lot of my characteristics of figure it out, no one's here to save you type of thing. And just that grit and that tenacity that did pay forward into what my role is now. But growing up, I graduated from high school. I did 2 years of college while I was in high school. And out of that, I think it was just a necessity for financial. So I graduated with 4 years from the University of Minnesota in criminology, sociology, and psychology. My interest was in law enforcement at that time. And I spent 14 years in a career as a probation and parole officer, specializing in domestic violence and working and a crisis response team for women and children leaving domestic violence situations. That was, as just even the description is really intense in the sense that it was really, I was taking a lot home with me, and everything I do, I pretty much go full bore on, and I'm a very passionate person about what I'm doing and wanting to make sure I make the greatest impact when I am working in something. And so I was still in my career, and I was interested in, beauty, skin, this type of thing. And I went to the Aveda Institute, which is based out of Minneapolis here. I did their osteology program. It was 600 hours, the study of skin. I was leaving that program, graduating, and honestly, it was just more of a celebration trip to Mexico. And I was looking for a spray tan. I'm super, super lily white, and at that time, it was early 2011, and we were just in the marketplace. It was that Mystic Tan. I'm not sure if anybody, if you guys were aware of Mystic Tan, but it's one of those things where they kind of lock you in a booth, and it's just like throttling solutions at you that are low grade. And, going back to the fact that how pale I really am, any mistakes in that booth from those spray nozzles were going to be showing up on my hands and my feet. And, I just was thinking there's got to be a better way for this. And I found a makeup artist in my area that was doing custom spray tans. I'd never heard of it before. And she used a tiny little airbrush. So I held this position of a spray tan for about 45 minutes. But when I got out of it, I didn't have that unnatural orange look. And I was like, wait a minute, this is fantastic. I need to be doing this all the time. The price point was very high for me at that time. It's even high right now. I think it was $85. And then with tip and everything, you're walking out $100, and can't do that on a probation officer's salary. So out of necessity, just for myself, honestly, I maxed out a credit card. I think at that time, my credit card max was $5,000, and I bought a machine, and my intention was just to train my sister and myself, and just so that we could have it. And it just started catching on with my friends and family, and as we were using them for training models and that sort of thing, and just processed, hey, a lot of people really want this. And my first and kind of entrance into the market was as a mobile. It's the quickest way to get in low. There's not a lot of overhead in that. So I hit the streets mobile after I would leave my probation work. And so evenings and weekends, I was, out about town in the Minneapolis area. Caught on really quick. I hired my first employee. But, that's the genesis of where we got started.
I mean, what an incredible, there's so many things in that. So many like entrepreneur, like just rock star moments, like had a vision, took the chance and maxed out the credit card to start the business.
Yeah.
The knowledge of what it takes to sort of, thrive in these building situations. We talk to people all the time as franchise consultants and franchise owners. The first 18 months of building a business, there's a lot of ups and downs. And if you aren't prepared for that, it can really, for those that don't know about that, boy, 6 months in, it can be a little scary.
Yeah.
So to know that you're going to have those days where you're just going to be like, what on earth am I doing?
Yeah.
But know that the next day is going to be a better day. I mean, I love that. You truly have lived the entrepreneurial life. And
Yeah.
as you talk about those products, Jill and I are just shaking our heads.
Well, I mean, we won't talk about how I went through the same thing as you and had Jack be my spray tan artist.
I did not do a good job.
In tears, dripping, and immediately went into the shower after we bought our own.
Let's do one more application. I think we can get it right this time.
It was a disaster. So it does take a lot of talent, and I admire everything that you did because, I experienced a lot of it the same, going through the misty tans and the tiny airbrush tan that, was crazy expensive and awkward when you're standing there for 45 minutes naked, semi-naked. So anyway, but I admire all that. What took you from mobile to the studios to opening up your own?
In 2014, I want to say, we had 4 mobile SUVs out, and it was simply demand, right? So whenever you're building anything, you have to respond to that demand quickly or you drop off. And so due to demand, I was thinking, and around that time, solo salons were really coming into the market, and they were focused more on hair. And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, well, these rooms, I don't see why, if I'm going to people's homes and I'm popping up, why wouldn't I be able to pop up in one of these rooms? So I would think that I'm one of the first spray tan artists to ever go into a salon suite with that mentality. And so that's what we did. We had 100 square feet, and we retailed. We did all of our appointments in that solo salon, and it got to the point where, again, with demand, you have to move on to something else. But we were asked, basically, what do you guys, what's your game plan here? Because you're packing up our hallways because we're just so busy. And so at that time, then I moved to the store, my first storefront, and that was in 2015.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to me like you just have had a good gut for this from the beginning, because I think so much of growing, it's like in our franchise that we own, we're ordering our second truck, and some might say we're early on that. I don't think you can ever be early enough. I think you need to anticipate your growth. And so I love hearing that. I think so much of being a successful entrepreneur is having the urgency to grow, and maybe grow a little faster than some might, think that you should.
Yeah, I think that's really important, and making sure that your structure is sound. I think that everybody building a business has gotten to that point where it's uncomfortable, and you're just like, I never want to do that again, So I think it is having that foresight and that belief in yourself of what you're building is good and what you're building is sound, and that, you have customers or clients that are demanding it, and you should always be operating at a 6 to 12 month, roadmap of where you're going to be going and what you're going to be needing.
Yeah. And I think you got to have that, like for us, we have it on our wall. Here's where we need to be at the end of the year. Here's where we want to be in 5 years. I think that in talking about your brand to potential investors, I think there's a lack of knowledge in terms of the value that GoGlow can play. As I watch Jill and so many of the gals here in Palm Beach, we have sun most of the year. We have probably 330 pool days, but people are much more careful about, the sun, and when there's events and things like that, you want to have a great tan. You're not going to get it outside, right?
No, and you shouldn't. I mean, you can speak to this. What sort of sets GoGlow apart from, the other mobile tanning or, tanning studios that you see out there? What is your guys' sort of spin or hook or?
Right. And when I built GoGlow along the way, I sort of started to pick apart all the pain points that people were feeling, that I was feeling when I was getting the service. It's the stickiness, it's the smell, it's the processing time, it's the ingredients, what's going on your skin. I think that especially now, people want to know and they want to spin that label. And we always encourage that in a lot of education. I say that GoGlow is a skincare company at its base, and we spray tanning. We have a full skincare line that complements spray tanning, but at the same time, if you're not getting a GoGlow, you should still be using these products, as they pH balance your skin. They make your skin healthy. What's really important also, which you spoke on, is that people aren't getting their quote unquote tan from the sun. I think we've all been pretty heavily educated on the sense of every time, I walk into my dermatologist, for just a yearly, it's like, do you wear sunscreen? Do you spray tan? And I was just like, oh, hey, you know me. And so, but everybody's getting those same questions. One of our taglines is we've outsmarted the sun. And it's kind of like a play on, hey, we're all in this, sunburns, skin damage, anti-aging. I kind of cringe a little bit when we talk about anti-aging, because I think that we should all be very grateful that we are aging, right? But we want to do it gracefully. And that's what, with GoGlow, any of these rise of the Botox and the fillers and the lasers, all of that stuff is trying to reverse sun damage. And so the education is already being played out in all different modalities. And GoGlow is a very good complement to that.
Yeah. And not to mention being outside in the sun, sweating. I mean, if you're getting Botox, you're like reversing your Botox the minute you're out there doing that stuff. So, I mean, it's
just not good for you overall. And we're learning that. So I think that there's such a bigger market now, because so many people, even Jack sometimes will say to me, if I say I need a tan, he'll say, go out in the sun. I mean, for many reasons I can't. One, the wrinkles and the sunburn. And I mean, I don't even tan anymore, to be honest. I just do the spots, it's like not even pretty. So, we're all learning that, and we're all looking for solutions. And I've done the mobile, and I think it's great. And I've had issues with that. I have a girl who I love who's on maternity leave. So she's out for a while. So now I'm searching, and it's really hard to find a place that I feel comfortable going to, where I know the products are good and, it's a comfortable environment. So, I love what you're doing. I mean, I think, I'm a target audience. So
yes. Yeah. And with respect to mobile artists, my heart is right there too, because that's where I started. However, I think that a lot of consideration needs to be given to what's being inhaled in these tents.
Yes.
Part of our offering with GoGlow is I've developed a patent pending technology, and it's a booth that controls the airflow, and it also pulls all of the solutions into a filtration system. So it's filtrated 6 times over. So spray tanning, as we know, is kind of operating, I call it like the cowboy world. Everyone's kind of grabbing machines and doing their own thing. The FDA has approved the active ingredient, which is dihydroxyacetone, which is just a sugar beet molecule. It's removed from the sugar beet. So it's a natural process that's happening on your skin. The FDA says it's great for your skin, but we do not want anybody inhaling this. And I think it's very, very important. And I see the runway with the FDA really trying to crack down on the fact that, hey, if you're in a mobile tent like that, there's no protection for these people inhaling the solution. And I think that's what GoGlow is coming in, and it's really a reset on an industry that's just never had one. And it's myself and GoGlow stepping out and saying, hey, this entire industry, we all know the rules. People are bending them all over the place. Yeah. And I think the clients deserve to know the education behind what's going on their skin, the education on the FDA, the education on should you be inhaling this, protect yourself. And that's where GoGlow is really stepping into the scene and saying, hey, let's level this up. We need to provide a better service, better education, better product to clients, because as you know, like everyone's, spray tanning and self tanning is a multi-billion-dollar industry. It hasn't been captured on this level yet. And I think that's why I know that's exactly where our direction is going.
Well, and just speaking, I think that the sunless tan looks so much better. Mm-hmm. I mean, when Jill gets it done, and it looks, it kind of gives you more like that movie star look. I think, yes. A beautiful, like perfect tan.
Well, and it's the glow, Yeah. I mean, I laugh. I probably posted that, meme a million times where it's like, I'm just happier when I'm tan, or all I need is a tan, because it's true. I feel better. Mm-hmm. It does give people a lot more confidence too, yes. Especially because not only just the tan, but that it evens things out, and and there's different levels. I know you don't have to be really dark. You can't be dark. It's kind of addicting too.
Well, and I think the other thing too is that you built a brand.
Yeah.
And so oftentimes there's, tanning people out there but let's face it, you can't rely on that. Whereas if you have a GoGlow, you can depend, because that's a brand is stronger than a person.
Right.
And I think what you've done is really build something that, it's for us, it's like the franchise that we bought, Pink's Windows. I'll be honest with you. It didn't matter to me that we washed windows. I loved the brand. I loved the look of it. I liked that we had merch, and I liked that it was customer service driven. Mm-hmm. And when I see GoGlow, I'm like, now that's a brand.
Yeah.
That looks strong. That's something I would want to put the hat on or the t-shirt. And that's important. So I don't know, maybe speak to, what you guys have seen in terms of how you compete with mom and pops and smaller operators, and what your advantage is.
Yeah, I always say, if you're looking at a market and first thing to do is look and see if there's spray tanning. A lot of people are like, oh my gosh, there's some people spray tanning. Like, that is what you want to see. That means that there's a market there, right? And, I don't target in any of our marketing, mom and pops, I give good, respect to everyone trying to make it. What I do offer is, hey, if you want to franchise, if you want to buy a business, we offer like strong branding since the beginning. Like, I started around the same exact time that Allie Webb started with Dry Bar, and I watched her growth. And she had a lot of higher like capital infusion and that sort of thing. But watching that, you can learn a really great lesson on building a single service modality. You become the expert at it. You wrap I wrap a skincare. She wrapped hair care around it. It's that same feeling of giving people that confidence of, like you said, a brand, somebody that really cares about the experience from the moment you walk through the door to the moment you're leaving the door. And then afterwards, what's the education afterwards? Can we talk about your skin? Can we talk about dry skin? Can we talk about dehydrated skin? These are different things. And, I think that's what we're really trying to capture here is that trust level. And building up in Minnesota and Chicago, that's what I've done. My chops, when I went to Chicago with no brand awareness anywhere in that area, just to try to test it out to see if it would work. And it has been very, very successful. And I know that our clients are very invested in our success. They have a sense of pride and ownership in our company, being that we grew right in front of them. And we're customer service focused in the sense that we want to make sure that when people come in, they understand, yes, we're going to be asking you a lot of questions. Your first GoGlow appointment is probably going to be like, did I do everything right? But once you get on your program and what works for you, that's what we keep, we keep all notes on every single time you've come in, what you're tanning for, what results are you looking for, because we can customize each and every service.
I mean, that makes a huge difference, honestly, that customer service, that attention to detail. Because you don't see that, you don't see that in most of the salons that you go into. Even your mobile person that you may know really, really well, there's still, it's a quick appointment too. It's on their time because they have the travel and everything like that. So coming in, having a profile and them really knowing like who you are, what your skin's like, that makes such a big difference in your results. And then obviously, your return rate and becoming like a loyal customer to have that. I think that's wonderful.
Well, and with GoGlow, what I really like is that look, you guys are you're a retail franchise, but when people start with you, they can start in a salon suite, correct? So they can get revenue going as they're building out their retail location. So my question for you is, let's say Jill and I were here in Boca Raton, Florida, and we're investing in a GoGlow, because let me make sure I've got my numbers right. You tell me if they're right. Average gross sales of $670,000 in the item 19. Do I have that number right?
Mm-hmm.
That's excellent. And then the net is 236. Let's call it $237,000.
Right.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah, and I think that's. It is also illustrated in the fact of how this industry is going. It shows and it has a very large margins, which does attract the good and the bad, and people starting up businesses and being like, and not taking the consideration that I've taken in building, a skincare from the ground up, building the solutions from the ground up, because, it is highly attractive to buy any solution on Amazon and go to a client's house and spray them and just be like, hey, thanks for the $60 and roll out, like I understand that, but because in fact, the margins are that good. However, what we offer with GoGlow is just a full structure of this is 13 years of me building this business. I didn't just start this business, right? And so we have all the background of, why anybody gets into franchising or why somebody buys a business is that you're standing on the shoulders of somebody who's done it. And they can offer you these, like, don't do this, don't walk into this trap, all those sort of things is what, not only GoGlow, but franchising in general. I was never really astute on franchising, or I didn't come from a line of entrepreneurs or business owners by any means. But now that I see franchising, I was like, dang, I wish there was a GoGlow when I was starting, because it would have been so great. But to have this journey end up to be able to share it with other people and other business owners and people who are really motivated to bring it to their community and to give them that support is really rewarding. And I do see that. I've seen it for a long time, sort of like that long game planner about what GoGlow offers for the market and where GoGlow will fit into the market. I think we have an awesome platform to build here, and long runway of what we can be doing with GoGlow. So I'm really excited to be able to share that.
I mean, look, by the way, we have a client in New York that's like every day asks us when you guys are going to be available in New York. So just know that
That's coming.
but again, it's like one of those. This is what I wanted to ask you before I forget. Okay, so let's say I'm here in Boca Raton. Jill and I are going to open up a GoGlow.
Yes.
Who's our ideal? Like, if we're looking around, like, who's our anchor? What in a center that we're looking for to put a GoGlow? Are we looking for? What should we be looking for?
So you're looking for what we like to see is boutique fitness. We like to see med spas. We like to see a grocery, basically a high-end grocery where people are coming to and from every single day, where you're going to see those repeat patterns of people visiting. We work very well with health and wellness, right? So we have franchisees that have come in from Restore Hyper Wellness who really do see that complementary brand and to plug it right in next to it. And so we do focus on those type of shopping centers or retail areas.
Do you guys have, I would imagine that, you set people up on long-term plans, right? The more you tan, the more savings there are, that
like
type
membership.
of thing. Yeah.
Memberships. Yes.
So
yes.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. The funny thing with memberships is when I started in 2011, if you're speaking on memberships, you were only talking about going to a tanning bed membership. But now and I always said, what I was trying to build is to say completely separate from the UV tanning industry. It had such a bad reputation. They were really being, under fire, understandably. And so my whole mentality as I was building my business for 12 years is that I wasn't going to do membership. It's just kind of one of those probably like old school thoughts. But as soon as we started franchising, everyone's like, hey, why don't you have memberships? And so we just started a membership program. And it's a no brainer. Up in Minnesota and Chicago, where we've had clients for the past 10, 12 years, they're more set on packages. So, the mind frame and the mindset coming from the new franchisees coming in, they're doing very well in their memberships.
Well, and for me, like for our business, it helps us sleep better at night knowing, hey, we've already got 150,000 on the books for next year, and we're aiming for 250. That having that consistency is so great, and I think for your franchisees, it's the same thing, right?
Yes, it is. Like I said, it's just one of those things where, and whenever you speak with me, I'm always just like an open book, fully transparent on any errors or any thoughts. And that's just one of mine where I go, hey, I had my focus and it wasn't going to be memberships and I just didn't slow down. And so, having somebody like myself where I'm always open to suggestions. I'm always open to strategic advice and that sort of thing. And I think that's what you do need in a founder, especially an emerging brand. You can't have somebody with the biggest ego in the room thinking like they know everything and they're not going to be told anything whatsoever, right? So you can't take a service like myself or a business like myself who's primarily in the Midwest, start talking to Southern franchisees and just close your eyes to it, because you can't. This is a different, the country is different, has different vibes all over the place. We all know that. And so I think it's really rewarding to hear from business owners who have come into the system, who have built those businesses before, and they have that experience. Those are the ones I listen to definitely the most. But it is a gritty emerging brand. We have to really be honest with whoever is coming in here. They are a different set of who we're looking for at this time than a GoGlow in 2 years or 3 years. It's a different ballgame.
Yeah, and your clientele is going to be different everywhere. And we're learning that with Pinks too. Pinks started in Austin. Southern Florida is totally different. It's different weather, it's different clientele. People live here, part-time. And so having them be receptive to our feedback has been really important, because, Austin is what they know. For you, your area, Minnesota, Chicago, like, those areas. But as you start to branch out, being open to hearing, that things might be different. And yes, you're right. Maybe memberships are a big thing in the South, but, not necessarily in the Midwest. But being open to making it an opportunity or a possibility is key, to your business doing well. So I love that you do that.
Yeah. And it's also important to when you're reviewing brands to buy, investing in a business is one thing. Investing in a founder, you need to make sure that they're sound and that they are flexible and that they have done it also themselves. So, just recently we opened up a salon suite in Cape Coral for the corporate, because I wanted to be right there, and see what is it like in Florida. Coming to find out, Florida has their own different spray tanning, like quote unquote season. And so it's adjusting to those needs of that specific clientele and throwing myself right in it right? Before I throw anybody else into it and try to learn this clientele specifically. I think that's really important, and it's been very helpful.
That's really cool that you do that. Kind of testing. When I was on the franchisor side, we would do the same thing. Anytime we'd have a new product, new service, we would test it on a corporate office first. I think that's just great, showing great responsibility by the franchisor. Okay, so let me ask a question as again, for potential investors out there. When I say, okay, the average GoGlow is netting 200 and change, my mind goes to, okay, if I want to make $1 million a year, I probably need 5 locations. That's where my mind goes. But let's bring it back to unit number 1. Okay, so I'm investing in unit number 1. What kind of capital would you like to see us have for sort of a cash runway in terms of investing in the business? What do you think the right amount of capital is once we've paid our franchise fee? What would your sort of your recommendation be?
Yeah, I think that people are most comfortable right around the $500,000 mark of having access to capital around $500,000 for their first one. It's so that you're not stressing, you know what the build out's going to be, and that opening up in a salon suite, you can start building your clientele, for the salon suite owners that we have now with the emerging brand. It's very important that they understand, you're not opening up a McDonald's here. People don't know just because you opened up a salon suite. You have to be out there in the community and you have to tell them about GoGlow. You have to have the branding out there. You have to be able to talk about what the offering is. And so building that while you're doing construction, because we all know the pains of real estate and construction. It's just like you sign the franchise agreement. Everyone's so happy and they're cheersing and they're like, oh, I got bad news. You got to go into real estate and construction, man. It's the worst. But to have the ability while that is still going on to build a clientele and to build relationships in your community is very important. And just, we're not saying that you're going to be, busting down, doors in the sense of, profitability and all. It's a great space to start nurturing your community and getting in there and getting GoGlows on people's skin, because I didn't start marketing, like paid marketing, until I started franchising. So my entire structure was built on word of mouth, which I don't say that, like, I don't suggest that. But again, my naivety going through it all, it was just a brute force of being in the community, educating, joining other grand openings, getting to know other brands, making sure that you're attached to other brands. If they have a membership program, why can't we offer them a free GoGlow that month so we can get them in, right? Because it truly is a service that, you get on your skin once and you're just like, oh my gosh, this is a game changer, and you want to talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think what you're describing is very common. It's like, again, with us, with the Pinks headquarters, those guys, it was all grassroots. They built the brand. They didn't do any Google or Facebook. Whereas us with our Pinks, most of our business is coming from Google. It's coming from Facebook. It's coming from Instagram. So we have the opposite problem in that it's for us now going out and pounding the pavement. But the key thing in both businesses, whether it's you need your windows washed or you need to look beautiful for your next night out on the town or engagement, is you've got pain. And so I think for all of us in any business that we have, it's figuring out where those pain points are when people have them and making sure we're in front of them to solve their pain. And I think that's something, again, like Jill said, and we've had this conversation. I'm like, can you just look like that? And you're beautiful always, but like there's something about that glow from that tan, and it's just perfect. I mean, and that's where, when I've gotten pushback from people, they said, well, I live in Scottsdale, I don't know if there's a need.
No, I mean, there's more of a need in the sunnier states.
Right.
You have to, you're wearing less and you're out, I mean, honestly, I grew up in Seattle. There's a need there too. There's no sun and you're pale. So, I mean, it really honestly does not matter where you are. Yeah. Maybe frequency, and there's obviously peaks, I'm sure, around the holidays and those types of things, and spring breaks where people want, the extra. So there's probably some consistent ups and possibly downs, but it's becoming more of a year-round thing. It does. Like, I really do think it's somewhat addicting, especially if you have a good tan. That's the difference. If you get a bad one, no.
Right.
When I turned green one time, it was
I'm the one that turned her green with the Amazon tanning. I retired as a tanner after that. She literally looked like something out of Star Trek.
Yeah, it was.
I wish I had a picture.
It was not good, and it did not wash off like we thought it would. There was still a little bit of like.
You were green.
I was green. I was green.
Yeah, I always say, if you're showing skin, that's when you're going to have a GoGlow or a spray tan. So like you said, people in Scottsdale, well, you don't have snow like we have. Like, so for us in Minnesota, we're bundled up to the, to the neck and for about 4 to 6 months a year. So I always kind of joke, I'm like, where's the worst place you could start a spray tan company? Well, it's going to be Minnesota. There's no, like, hands down, this is the worst place, and I'm doing really well. And so I think that's what's really also exciting about the offering and getting our new franchisees open in the South is to prove out that concept of like, hey, just because you live in Florida or just because you live in Arizona, the old school way of thinking is, well, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to go in the sun. Number one, if you take a look at tanning and like sort of the history of it, it's okay. Well, you have to go spend 4 hours in the sun. Show me somebody that has 4 hours 3 times a week to go lay in the sun. That's just not reality anymore. It's not reality for women. It's not reality for men. And so, you change that with, well, I can go get a 20-minute appointment. I'm going to get a GoGlow. It's going to be packed full of antioxidants. It's going to be packed full of hyaluronics. It's going to be a skin treatment while it's on my skin. Yeah. Who doesn't do that? And so
that's the difference of what you're doing is you're making it a treatment. It's not just the spray tan. It is enhancing your skin. It makes you feel good. It's not that it's drying out, on you. And that is next level. That's what people are going to be interested in is this next level of sunless tanning, that it actually improves your skin.
Right.
While you get it. So it's like it's like getting a facial, like getting a massage. It's something good for your skin with a great result.
Yeah, we have partners that came in, and when you come up to Minneapolis for we call them confirmation days, we always have people get the actual service. Our partners in Austin, Texas, is Eastern Indian, and he's like, well, I'm not gonna, I don't need this, and we're like, Kanal, you got to do it. And the next day, it was hilarious because all you could see was just him touching his skin. He's like, my skin is so soft; it's never been this soft, and I'm just like, yes, it's a skin treatment.
Wow.
Okay, I have a question. All right. So back in the day when you would use like the tanning stuff and that smell you would get, what do you guys do about that?
Yeah. So it's called a malodor odor. DHA, dihydroxyacetone, the reason that it works and how it works, I think it's important. It's a fun little light bulb moment for a lot of people because a lot of people think you're painting them for some reason, but the active ingredient is removed from a sugar beet molecule. And that, as it reacts to the amino acids on your skin and the proteins, that's what browns the actual skin cells. And so it's a lot like oxidizing. If you cut an apple and you leave it out and it browns, it's the same exact process that's happening on your skin. It's the oxygen and the amino acids working with the dihydroxyacetone. So when the oxidation on your skin is happening with dihydroxyacetone, the DHA, some people's body's chemistry is different than others. Some people just get that heavy odor. But what we were able to do is the patent for Febreze technology of the encapsulation of odor ran out, I want to say, probably like 7-8 years now. And so we were able to put that in our solution as well. So we have the Febreze technology, the encapsulation of any odor that's going to come off of your skin. We're not going to ever say, we guarantee like you will not have odor because it's so particular. Everybody's skin is so particular, but we definitely are able to eliminate at least 90% of our clients any kind of odor that they have.
Yeah, I have noticed that you I smell it when I do it, no matter who promises, but I have noticed there's been such an improvement, with different formulas than what it used to be. But you're right. It's like a chemical process that's happening. It's not just like a dye or a paint. So it's not the actual solution. It's how your body's processing it.
Yes.
That's very cool that there's a technology out there that can help maybe is it absorb it or mask it? I love that. I mean, that's a huge selling point.
Yes. Awesome. And when I built the solution line as well as the products line, we use essential oils for any sort of fragrance. So that it's also not harmful, of course, but I use a unisex smell so that it's applicable for men and women. So if we use our Hydrate lotion, our Hydrate is sort of our hero product on the skincare line. It is a miracle product. It takes down sunburns, makes sure so you don't peel. It has a lot of rose hip in it. It has hemp seed oil. So it's not very nourishing, but it also has a really amazing scent that people go crazy for. And it's applicable to men and women. So I wanted to make sure that we're not doing the whole heavy coconut tanning, I can't do that. Right. So, just the foresight and also the branding being black and white. I wanted to make sure it had a masculine feel to it as well.
Yeah, that's brilliant. And so you have products that you can use at home as well too, like pre and post and to maintain.
Yes, we have a pH balancing cleanse. What is happening when we do a lot of education around, especially, I don't mean to keep targeting men, but men really love their soaps. And, I always joke, I'm like, soap is great for your bits and pieces, but please don't put it all over your body, because what soap is doing, and it's quote unquote getting you extra clean, but it's stripping all of the natural oils that your skin makes to protect itself, and that it really wants to nourish its own skin. So like with our cleanse, it keeps your skin pH balanced. It protects the barrier and the mantle of your skin, and it also cleans your skin. So it's going to leave those oils on your skin, and you're not going to have that tight, itchy feeling when you get out of the shower. Our hydrate is along the lines of like a body butter. It has argan oil, shea, hemp seed, rose hip, all of these great nourishing ingredients. We also have Extend, and Extend is along the lines of our hydrate, but it has the DHA in it. So anything in our product line that has a packaging, that's going to have the active ingredient in it that's going to brown your skin. So if you think about like a gradual tanner, you talk about, we've all seen like the Jergens or anything at Target, like, well, I can go to Target, get a $7 bottle of Jergens. Well, what you're getting with that is you're getting the lowest grade DHA that you can possibly find. It's also only a 1% to 2% DHA. With our product line, because it's a professional skin product line, it's 8% to 9% DHA. So you're using less. It's a buildable color, and you can, build it up to wherever the depth that you want. I was also looking for, okay, well, we're going to have like a lot of attention on GoGlow, and there's not going to be GoGlows in a lot of people's communities. So we just released a mousse, an at-home mousse that does give you that deep, dark, rich, beautiful GoGlow color that you can use at home. And what I especially love about it is, number one, it's not sticky, it's not smelly, and you can wear it out. So I just took it to Mexico this spring and I used it. I put it on before dinner and go out. So you have a nice little kiss of bronze, but you're also processing it. So the next day when you go to the pool, you have the preserved that GoGlow, and you have a little touch of a deep color. And we also have an exfoliate. It's a Korean cloth. We don't want anyone exfoliating with sugar scrubs because it causes micro tears in your skin. We need to do a lot of education around that. And so our mitt, we ask people to use it at least once a week to make sure that your skin cells are turning over and they're fresh. That's what's going to help your the base of your GoGlow, if you're going to have one or not. And it also gives you that glowy, fresh skin.
Wow. That is so
I'm
cool.
sold.
Yeah.
I love that you said that too, because I recently started bringing, because, when I'm in the sun, I'm covered up. I've got like my 50 on, and I mean, Jack tans. This is natural.
Yeah.
I've, my face, I'm always protecting my face. So even if I'm out in the sun, by the end of the day, my face is white as a ghost, and the rest of my body may have color. So I have to bring something with me. So I love, what you said, where you get the instant bronze, but you're also tanning yourself.
But it's really, I forgot our other product, which is amazing. It's called Touch Up, and it's for that. I built it for that exact reason. It's because faces, we never want somebody to stop, their normal skincare regimen on their face. It's much different than your body. So I built Touch Up, and what it is a misting. So you kind of zhuzh your face, and I do it after my makeup. So it's also a makeup setting full of hyaluronic. So it's moisturizing your face as well. So you don't have that dry feeling whatsoever. But that is the purpose of Touch Up, is because our hands and our faces and our feet, like always wear off quicker because you're washing them. You're using products that are accelerating skin cell turnover. And so the Touch Up is amazing for that.
This is very exciting. So Melanie, if people want to find out more about GoGlow franchise, where should they go?
So you can go to our website. It's goglow.co. It is not .com. I wanted to do a little extra special to keep us, So it's goglow.co. On there, you can click on the About Us and franchising, and it gives a lot of information about franchising and also a way to contact.
And make sure you tell them that you found them on the We Bought a Franchise podcast.
Right.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And go to your website. You guys can come to us too. But we're really excited. This has been really
great.
Really nice to hear all about this. I mean, I'm ready.
She's ready.
I'm ready to open one myself.
Jill's going to be filling out that form on the GoGlow
Jill.
website. So Melanie, is there anything we haven't asked? Any important details that you think are important for people to know about?
No, I think we've hit on amazing points about GoGlow, and, just the wherewithal right now of really paying homage to the fact that we are emerging. We don't have any franchise storefronts open yet at this point. We're opening approximately 5 this fall. But that, who is attracted to this system right now has to be gritty. They have to have business knowledge. They have to have a base of a mentality of resilience, because it is bringing a brand to your community that the community doesn't know yet. And so just to be aware that GoGlow in 2 years is a completely different system than it is now. And so we're very particular about who we're bringing on right now.
That resonates with us so much. We were franchisee number 3 for Pinks. We loved that. We liked being on the front line. My family also started a franchise called Home Care Assistance back in the day. And the first wave of franchisees, the ones they're the ones that built the $10+ million businesses, because they got to build big territories. So there is something, and I love that you're being so transparent about that. There are definite advantages for the right personalities, for the builders, for the growers, for the people that are okay understanding that we're going to grow together. We're going to learn together. It's going to evolve as we go. So I love that you're being so upfront with that, because I think that's helpful. But for a lot of you out there, sometimes being in early on a franchise is your very best opportunity. So for the right personality that understands the first 18 months they are the building months. What you do today is going to greatly impact your life 3 years from now. It's not about immediate gratification, but we're all building towards something much bigger. So, well, Melanie, I think that you have said it all. This has been an amazing podcast, and I hope all of you out there have enjoyed it. And for our client who's waiting on New York, just a little bit more patience. But for this week's episode, I'm Jack.
I'm Jill.
And we bought a franchise.
I'm Melanie Richards, and I started GoGlow Franchise.
I love it. Melanie, thank you so much for joining us.